Uh-oh. I think I just blew a circuit breaker with this thing. Hey folks, welcome back to Abundant Life Homestead. Today we're going to finally finish the video series on me rewiring the Kubota B7100 and installing these lights on the bucket frame and the auxiliary lights on the rear. To be honest, I almost abandoned this quest. I finished this work months and months ago, but my health and grandma's health got in the way. A lot of other things slowed us down. It was really hard to sit down and compile a video that others would want to see out of hours and hours and hours of electrical work. And the electrical work really isn't that popular. But at the same time, I was looking through the metrics, and the average watch time per viewer on the electrical videos is higher than it is on most of my others, and the number of viewers who watch clear through the end is higher than most. So that tells me that there's a handful of you out there that really need and get something good out of these electrical videos. And that was plenty of motivation for me to get it finished up. So let's pick up where we left off with the last one, and let's get this finished up for you. So back at the tractor, I want to finish modifying the wiring for the auxiliary lights before we get to put the dashboard back on. We've already gotten rid of these, which are two 8-foot power leads that went from the battery to the original switches, and now we've got all of this taken care of inside that dash panel, so these are out of the way. But I still have these, which is 2 or really 4 wires pigtailed into 2, all of it 8 foot long, and these ran from the switches to the lights in the front and rear. We're going to cut these way back, get rid of everything we don't need, because all of this has been for the last several years tucked up behind the tunnel cover and the steering column, and it worked. It was effective, but very unnecessary to have that much wiring in there. So first thing I'm going to do, the wires on my lights have popped off. I've had them with zip ties on here for quite a long time, and when I went to start this, I put a little pressure on the zip ties and they popped on me. Happens after a few years. And you see the way I mounted these lights, these are just dual LEDs. They're Traveler brand from Tractor Supply, and I put a magnet on there that I got from Harbor Freight. That way I can stick them here, and if I need more angle down, I've got it. Need angle up, I've got it. If I need to get them out of the way, if I'm going through brush and knock them off, I don't destroy anything. Works really good. Get it positioned about where I want it. And we'll put a couple cable ties up here just to hold it in place. Now, this wiring that comes for these auxiliary lights has these 3-prong connectors, and they've got quick disconnect on them, which I really like, especially since I take the bucket on and off. So we're going to keep these on here, and instead of grounding to the chassis like all the other lights do, these ground back through the cables. I'm not going to mess with trying to reconfigure that, because I'd have to open up the light cases. So we're going to run the grounds back to our steering column where the battery grounds at. I'll put these on here. Get them separated. I guess I need to zip tie this side too. And come down. I want some slack because the bucket moves, and I want a little extra slack just in case I decide to move the lights forward at any time for something. have to think about that a second. See if I really want to cut it off before or after the pigtail. If I run it down, bring it under the tunnel cover. Oh yeah, there's still way too much there. Okay, so we're going to cut these off at the pigtail to start off with, just give us something to work with. And we come down, our tunnel cover connects right up here, and I need probably 8 inches or so of slack just for when the bucket moves. There's not a whole lot of pull here, and actually as it lifts it also comes back, so that may even be a little excessive. But then to give it a little more, because just in case I want to move them to the front of the bucket frame, I think I'm going to give it a loop here. See how that would hang. Bring the loop more this way. Actually, I may not run under. I used to run under those hydraulic lines, but it looks like I could get myself in a pinch point with them if I do that. So we're going to go to the outside here. Go up under that box. They're not going to get in the way of the brakes, which are hardly ever used on this tractor anyway. That'll bring us right to here. Let's put us a little loop here, just in case we want that extra couple inches, extra few inches forward on the bucket frame. All depends on what work I'm doing at the moment. I'll zip tie that up. So now, so let that hang, comes right in here. Considering that our wiring harness generally comes up about here, I think we got those cut just about right. I'll strip this and put some ends on it. But first, we'll go to the other side. Same thing over here. My target is to come up here behind where the tunnel cover connects on without getting in the way of my feet. Just give it to where it hangs kind of nice and loose. A little bit of slack. Put a loop in that. So if the loop sits right here, wire goes down, and pretty much the same. We're sticking just a couple inches above the wiring harness connector. Okay, but negative battery cable right here connects to a nut that also holds the steering column on. That's where your main ground is. Both of the ground wires from these two are going to attach to there. Get that up and out of the way a second. Bring my wiring harness back up here. If we're sitting in here, I'm going to need to come pretty much all the way down. Just about an inch off my loop there so I can reach the ground. This is a stripper made for coax cable, but I tell you, for a cable like this, as long as you don't squeeze it hard, works pretty good on that insulation without breaking into your wires underneath. Let's give it a couple turns, wiggle it a little bit, comes apart, you didn't cut any of your wires. That just about slid easy enough that I may be able to cut just a little section out of here and fish the ground wire back out of this spot. It's just less I'll have to shrink tube it. Alright, little section of insulation off. Start working on this ground wire. This is I think these are 16 gauge wire, so they're pretty flexible. There we go. Got my ground wire out. Get back to where we can see our wires. They're just a little ways down in there. I'll cut off enough so I can make leads on it to go to the wires we drop down on the harness. Got that there. Except this one, after I get the once I go to connect the ground wire, I'll make it much shorter because it comes out right beside that grounding lug. But I want to be able to get to it. Get that little bit of insulation peeled off. Now we start working this one out just the same. Just so I remember, the right hand side has the shorter, or the ground cut, yeah, it has the shorter ground, it comes out sooner, and the left hand side will need cut. And I've got the insulation slid back down to the ground wires now. Pop those off, put them at the bench. So it might be tough to see, but my rear lights here, my rear lights have the same connector on them, and both of them connect at the axle on each side. We're going to go through pretty much the same process, hook up the wires, run them up, and see where we can cut them. I think in very similar fashion as the front. I'll cut it before we get to the pigtail, because yeah, there's way too much on here, and with the rear we don't need it to be flexible. So I'm going to plug that in back there. Nothing between the front and the rear, or the center and the rear here moves, so plug that into the socket. Runs under the tunnel cover. Don't want a whole lot of slack because it would it could get down in there in the shaft. Run it over to the wiring harness, and about yay so 3 inches or so above. That's where I'll cut it. Make sure before I pull this trigger. Yep. Same deal on the other side here. I'll get back in here and plug that in. I made those in a very inconvenient spot to get to, but I don't unplug the rear. In fact, when I unplugged them to do this wiring, that's probably the first time in the 3-4 years or whatever they've been on there that I've unplugged them. There we go. Click. Okay, same deal here. Get up behind all my levers, make sure I'm not getting in the way of the clearance of anything else. Come up under the mounts for the tunnel cover. Come up to about here, and that should just a little bit past the wiring harness. That should give me enough to get over here to the ground lug. Double check that, make sure I know what I'm thinking before I do it. Oh yeah, that'll get me there. I'll go ahead and snip those. I hit these with a couple zip ties just to differentiate all of the 4 cables I got. I put white on the front with a red one, addition of a red one on the right hand side, We'll put some greens on the back with the same addition of a red one on the right hand side, just so I don't get them confused. Okay, same deal as before. Route the cable up through here, figure out where I need to start stripping for my ground wire. It's going to be about right here. Alright, that's down. Other side. Same deal. We got it routed through here. In order to get to the ground over there, I probably want to start stripping that out around here. Alright, there we go. We run this up here. This ground is going to go behind here to the grounding lug. If I back it off enough, give it about an extra inch for slack, and that's where I'm going to cut that. Same way on this one. Get to where we're going to be. That's going to go up on there. This we get to the grounding lug. Give myself about an inch to work with. Snip it off. Alright. Okay, got the cables for the front here. Got my right side and left side. I think the first thing we're going to do, get a little bit of shrink wrap, come down over here. In order to do that, first I'm going to have to cut my little marking cable ties off, but that's alright, I've got a ton of these. See how that goes. Hopefully that shrinks down enough. And we're doing it now because we're about to put ends on here, but we won't get to it right away. We'll heat shrink right there. I need a red and white to make sure I got this still marked. Do the same thing here on the left hand side. Cut that off. Run some heat shrink up in here. Run the ground wire through it. Have it there and ready to go. Now, ground wires will pigtail together, and I'm going to use these ring connectors. Slid it all the way to the insulation. Take my crimpers. Okay, that one will be ready to shrink. And I just had a thought. So the amber lights come through the wiring harness, but then it comes down to bullet connectors out. So they won't be, amber lights won't be just in the same spot. I'm actually going to have to strip back probably 3 or 4 inches of this. Yeah, because goes through the orange and black, or orange and white wire goes through the factory connector. They come down, they loop up, and then they terminate to where the old flasher's connected. So yeah, I need a good few inches off of this. Let me take about that. Don't want to go that far. I just want to go. That will probably do it. We'll just make it about the same on each side. That popped off there. Slide that right off. Yeah, and after I put new cable ties back on this one, huh? Okay. Bring it in to where it's just about the same spot. Those will be one pigtail. These will be the other. Yep. Run these two together. And they will go run this on there. And I'm going to go ahead and shrink that. I'll make it look good. And that should have shrunk enough that I can run another one. Get it just over the edge of that, and then that'll okay. It's probably entirely unnecessary, but if you haven't noticed, I do a lot of things that are entirely unnecessary. So, but when you got something like a tractor and lots of vibration and dirt and dust and everything else, and you really don't want your wires bouncing around, a little extra protection where if they're rubbing on anything, they don't necessarily get all frayed. Take that down as far as it'll go. Uh-oh. I think I just blew a circuit breaker with this thing. It's not very nice. Have to run it off my truck. Alright, we're running on truck power now. So I did trip a circuit breaker in the house with the heat gun. It's a bad thing about not having a shop anymore. Limited on my electricity, that's for sure. Okay. Now, pigtail these to terminate with a male blade, because the wiring harness we put together is female blade. Alright, so don't lose track. Yellow paint mark will mark my headlight wire. Simple enough. Okay, so that should be should be all we need for the front. These will go up towards the wiring harness. This will go off to where the ambers were. I just need to tape up that middle spot. Should be good. Okay. That's our front end. So, in case you're wondering, I did not make it in before the rain hit on that last segment. I did get most of the stuff in and put away, so no, didn't lose anything. Suppose that happens out here. We got the bucket lights ready to go. Now we got to do the rear work lights. They're going to be the same way. Got our grounds. Got the red wires go to the lights. Blue wires go to the amber halos on them. Alright. So cables for the rear work lights are finished. We're still not quite ready for install yet because the connectors for the amber lights on the wiring harness still have bullets and I need to put blades on them. So there's where we're heading next. Okay, so back at the tractor, we've got the tractor side of the wiring harness. Here's the main plug. Here's 4 wires that would go back to all the lighting that was originally there. The 2 yellows went to the the 2 oranges went to the flashers. The green goes to the red work light, or the red running light, and the red went to the optional white work light. We're only concerned with these 2 right now. We're going to cut the ends off. We're going to give them female blades. There's 2. And we'll give them boots with a bit bigger of a heat shrink. And then just shrink the back end of them. Alright, heat gun is finished for this whole job. Alright, now it's just about time to start plugging stuff in. I'm going to take my cables for the rear work lights. Get them sitting up inside of here. I need my battery cable to go over them. So, get it down here under the bracket. Get it down here under the bracket. The yellow wire will connect to the ones we've made coming off of the dashboard. The black wire will connect to one of these orange wires. Blue, or this ground, goes on this post right here, which is where my battery cable connects. Okay, same deal here. Okay, let's go ahead and take the nut off that ground post. Don't have a whole lot of threads there. Hopefully we got room to put both of these on there. This is a 12 millimeter. Let's get that boot out of the way. A little room. One of them kind of come in this direction. Other will come in that direction. And to get around those terminal ends, I may have to use a wrench instead of a socket, but we'll see here. back, a little bit of grease there. One of these wires will go into each of the orange. Sometimes when these are new, they're a pain in the butt to get together, but that's good because you know you got a good metal on metal connection there. And the grease just helps keep it from getting corroded. Okay. That section is done. Now the last thing we have left to do is grab the dash panel. Alright, so we got the dash panel we finished up a while back. Wow, that highway is loud today. Let's see. Hopefully, whoops. Uh-oh. And I just broke a switch. Yep. Well then. Alright. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to have to replace one of these switches. Good thing I got extra. Okay, I got a new switch on standby here. And I measured things out and felt things out. I was sure I had enough room for the switch to be there. I'm still sure I do. I just did not account for actually installing the switch. There wasn't room to get it around the plate that the dashboard bolts onto. I'm going to go grab the bolts and finger them in, and then we'll put the switch in. So that means anytime I take this dash panel off, I'm just going to have to remember that I've got to remove a switch here. Okay. Broken wires are here. So we got room to pull them all the way out. Yep. I got in the plus. Okay, yellow goes in the plus, black goes in the top, white goes in the center, green goes on the green. Now let's put the nut on there. Bring the wires back through the hole. Alright, white goes on the center pin. Yellow goes on the positive marked pin. Black goes top center. And green goes on the G. On facing up, get my nut coming through. Should be able to get enough tension hand tight, especially with a little O-ring there. So, and if I'm gonna have to take it off every time I take the dashboard off, I don't want it too tight. Okay, now back to the program. There we go. There's my two yellow marked wires. They will go on the orange and yellow here. Get this stuff untangled just a little bit. this main wiring harness connector. I guess that was in as far as it goes, huh? Okay. And last but not least, my power to the glow plugs. It's right here. Okay. Now, I still don't necessarily like how all this has always hung down there, even from the stock wiring harness, but we'll let it be that way for now until I decide to change it. Okay, I start taking my wires and plugging them into the lights. Alright, time to start putting the battery back together. Get the cables on it, get some grease on the posts. Got some new battery felts here. Okay, double check all the fuses, or all the switches are in the off position. Key is out. We should be able to connect without sparking here. Yep. Okay. Okay. Battery's connected. Now let's put some fuses in these fuse holders and see how bad we screwed this up. Alright. Start off, we'll put the key in and just turn it. Alright, oil lights on. We'll see if our hour meter starts working. Hour meter's working. Before I try to start the engine, we'll go ahead and check all the lights. First will be our ambers. Halo comes on here. I've got amber halo here, there, and there. Okay. Turn that off. I won't be able to test the headlights right at the moment because I don't have them connected. I don't have the hood on. But we turn it. We got the halo on the switch, so it should be wired up correctly. Here, got our bucket lights. Got the green halo. Bucket lights are working. Shut them back off. Green halo, we should have rear work lights, which we do. Alright. Shut that off. I'll preheat the glow plugs. And there we go. Other than knowing for certain that the headlight switch works, which I'm sure it does, we've got everything. Well, electrical work's done for now. Video's probably a mess, but the work's clean. Did what we set out to do. Rewired where we needed to rewire, added where we needed to add, and in the process we took all of this wiring out, deleted it from behind the tonneau cover. So I think it was a success there. Appreciate you watching, and let me know what you think in the comments below, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe. I'd appreciate that too. So that's as far as we're going to go for now. We've still got some work to get done on the tractor before winter gets here, but we're almost done. So until next time, just keep on nourishing your dreams, cultivating your passions, embracing the beauty of God's creation. We'll see you then. Have a blessed day.